loss is simple, but it's definitely not easy. I recently lost over 27 pounds, and these are some tips that I have to not make weight loss suck as much. Number one is to use caffeine as a tool. So caffeine actually works as an appetite suppressant. This is really good, especially at the beginning of the weight loss journey, because when you're going from eating, let's say 3,000 calories just mindlessly, and then you're trying to be in a calorie deficit of like 200, and so now you have to eat at a maintenance of, let's say, 2,000. It's gonna feel hard, even though that's technically like the right amount of food that you need. Oh, that's when you can use caffeine to suppress any cravings that you might have to make you feel like you're a lot fuller than you actually are. I'm currently having 3 big meals. My first meal is around noon, and then my second meal is around 4 o'clock. So I usually drink a coffee at like 2 p.m. just to kind of hold me off until 4 p.m. However, if you're gonna take your caffeine in the form of a coffee, make sure that you don't add a lot of syrups or heavy creamers, because then that's just gonna be counterproductive. An average frappuccino, for example, has the same amount of calories as one of my meals. So don't drink a frap and think that you're doing yourself a favor, because you're not. If you're gonna make coffee, make it at home with like a sugar-free syrup and add a splash of almond milk or like whole milk. Tip number 2 is to hydrate. A lot of the times when our body is dehydrated, it will send hunger signals, but what we actually just need is just water. So hydrate. And you don't have to just drink water. You can do sparkling water. I recently found like an apple flavored sparkling water that tastes exactly like a manzanita. It's so good. You can do kombuchas, you can do tea. Any type of drink is just gonna help a lot with curbing your appetite. Tip number 3, this is kind of an obvious one, but weight train. Building muscle is gonna help speed up your metabolism. It doesn't actually burn as much calories as cardio does, but what happens is that when you're adding muscle, replacing fat with muscle, your body naturally is going to burn more calories because it takes more energy to upkeep muscle, and you will be able to eat more calories while still being in a maintenance. For example, when I was in cross country, my maintenance amount of calories, I had like no muscle in me. And it was close to like the 2,000 mark. I think it was a little bit less than 2,000 calories per day. However, now that I have a lot more muscle mass in my body, my maintenance is over 2,000 calories, which is amazing. Number 4, if you're a woman, you're going to want to work in tune with your menstrual cycle. You can use like a cycle syncing app to help you. I use the app called 28, and it's just really insightful. And it really helps a lot because during my luteal phase and my menstrual phase, if it weren't for the app, I would just feel so confused and so frustrated with myself and my body, because I'm like, why the fuck am I having so many cravings? Why am I so hungry? Why do I have like no energy right now? I would put myself down a lot. How do you expect to lose weight if you're not putting in the work, if you don't want to go to the gym, if you can't follow your meal plan? And I would just get so frustrated with myself, and I couldn't understand why. And I always just thought that I was just in a rut. But when I started learning about the menstrual cycle, I learned that during your luteal phase and during your menstrual phase, our testosterone and estrogen levels are at its lowest. So we have like no energy. Literally, like our tank is running on empty. And it's perfectly normal for us to be hungrier just because of our hormones. It's perfectly normal for us to feel a little bit lazier. And actually, if you overwork your body, overtrain during those times of the month, it's actually counterproductive because your cortisol levels can increase drastically. And when your cortisol levels are high, your body is under a lot of stress and goes into panic, basically, starts thinking that it needs to store fat. So being in tune with my menstrual cycle helped out so much. I have 3 upper body days, 1 lower body day, and then I have 2 cardio days. During my luteal phase though, my cardio days, which are normally my running days, they turn into walks. at the gym, I am going light and I am focusing on controlling the movement. And then during my follicular phase or my ovulation phase, that's when I'm going for the PR and I'm focusing on my speed on my runs and the super high mileage. And now whenever I'm feeling like shit during my luteal and menstrual phase, I don't feel guilty about it because I know that it's just my body doing its thing. Tip number 5, do not overdo it with the calorie deficit. Consuming too little calories, yeah, it's going to help you reach your goal, but it's more than likely going to lead to a cycle of yo-yo dieting. It is not sustainable. When I was in high school, I would be running 6 to 12 miles every single day because I was in cross country and I was eating 1,200 calories, which meant if I was, let's say, burning 600 calories from those 6 miles, I was only consuming 600 calories. Yeah, I lost the weight like crazy, but it was so unsustainable. It eventually led to me binge eating. I couldn't really keep the weight off, and it was just this cycle of losing weight and putting the weight back on, losing weight and putting the weight back on, because I just didn't know how to do it correctly. What happens when you lose weight is that your metabolism naturally slows down. When you weigh less, your body doesn't need as much energy to maintain itself. So your metabolism will slow down no matter what if you lose weight. So if you are looking for long-term results, keep that weight off. What you're going to want to do is just ease into it. Yes, it's going to take a little bit longer, but it's not going to ruin your relationship with food. What I did this time around is that the first 2 months that I started my weight loss journey, I was in a deficit of 300 calories, which was not a lot. It was pretty easy to do. Obviously, I wasn't losing a lot of weight and it was frustrating, but I knew that eventually, I would get the results. And that deficit was reached by me just doing 30 minutes on the Stairmaster because I wasn't really changing my diet at all, but I was able to lose, I think, 5 pounds like that. Eventually, when I started plateauing, I was like, okay, it's time to either do more exercise or start being more conscious of the food that I eat. I decided to do more exercise because your girl loves to eat. And then when I started plateau again, that's when I did decide to start not tracking, but just being more mindful. Your deficit is going to have to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. As you lose more weight, you're naturally just going to plateau. So ease into that weight loss journey. It's just going to be more sustainable and you're not going to be in such a shitty mood. Number 6, meal prep ahead of time and create a meal plan. This has honestly saved my life. I am super busy. I have a business. I go to school. I have work. I go to the gym. I have relationships that I want to uphold. I am insanely busy. If I don't meal prep, I'm gonna end up skipping my meals and then probably binging later in the night, or I'm gonna end up getting fast food or coming home and just eating whatever I can find. And there goes my protein goal and there goes my deficit. I think the first 20 pounds, I was able to lose those by just meal prepping ingredients. And then I would think about my meals as the time came. For example, I would meal prep chicken, and then sometimes I would have chicken quesadilla, sometimes I would have burrito bowls, sometimes I would have, whatever. But it got really harder because school started afterwards, and now it just helps so much to just know exactly what I'm going to eat instead of having to think, because when you are losing weight, especially in the beginning, it's a lot mentally, because you're constantly trying to fight yourself. You're constantly trying to be no, don't eat this because of this. You have your goals. Let's be a little bit stronger. So it's just a lot mentally. Now add in all the 100 things that you have to do every single day. It's gonna feel like a lot, having to think about oh, should I eat a quesadilla today or should I eat pizza? I found it a lot easier when I created meal plans for myself. And the way that I created those meal plans was just going on my fitness pal, putting in some meals that sound good to me. For breakfast, I have a breakfast quesadilla. I log it in. For lunch, I'm having burrito bowl. For dinner, I'm having my cheesecake protein oats. I'll see how many calories I have left and I'll add some snacks. And that's how I make my meal plan. So just by logging in like one day, I'm able to know exactly what I'm going to eat for that entire week because I will eat the same thing every single day. And then this also just helps a lot with like my relationship with food because I did used to have disordered eating habits. So tracking it's kind of tricky for me. I don't like to like track my food because I feel like it'll just like mess me up again. My last tip, don't overcomplicate it. Fat loss equals calories in versus calories out. All you need to do to lose weight is just be in a calorie deficit. That is it. There's no other rules to it. You can achieve that through more exercise. You can achieve that through better food choices. It is already mentally exhausting enough and it's already hard enough sticking to a meal plan or finding the motivation to start going to the gym, finding the motivation to even start your weight loss journey. Don't add in, oh, I'm not going to eat any sugars. I'm not going to eat any carbs. I'm not going to eat any fats. At least for me, it just makes it so much more stressful and it limits me even more. Today, I went on a run. I did 9 miles, which... yay. I'm super happy about it because like a few months ago, I didn't even think that I would be able to run 1 mile without stopping. And then now I'm like 9 miles, which is amazing. I went for a donut right after because I wanted a fucking donut. Like if I were to be like, oh, no refined sugars, no added sugars, no, like it's just going to make it so much harder. And I'm going to burn out because I've been on this weight loss journey for months now. But this is just what works for me. I know that it's like better for some people if they do add all these restrictions because it's just easier for them to follow it. For me, it just overcomplicates everything. I don't do any restrictions. Now, that does not mean that I eat like shit every single day. No, because eating like shit every single day, it doesn't make me feel good. But those are all the weight loss tips that worked really well for me. I'm still like, I'm really trying to lose weight. But yeah, weight loss does not have to be hard. And these were just some of the things that helped me not hate it.